You read the title. Let's get into it. The 4 steps to building an unforgettable aura. If you want to earn more money in your business, level up in your career, have better relationships, have a better overall life, then you are going to need to develop a level of aura, a level of personal magnetism that draws the right people to you, that makes people want to give you opportunities, that allows you to influence people and influence the room and have people believe what you do. And this is all aura. In order to cultivate this, there are 4 things you can do, and I'm going to guide you through them today. So firstly, we have confidence. Now, this is spoken about all the time. It's very obvious. But confidence is a very amorphic thing, meaning it's woo-woo, and it's hard to define for most people. Girls be like, I want a confident man, or I want a confident salesperson, or I want a confident teacher or a confident leader. But they can't define what this is. Let me ask you something. You might be watching this on your phone or on a computer or on a TV. I'm quite sure that you are very certain that you can pick up your phone, unlock your phone, open the YouTube app, click a video, and watch it. I know you're quite certain of that. Therefore, you're quite confident that you can do that. So what is confidence? Confidence is simply certainty. The more certainty you have in a particular vector of life, the more confident you will be. Now, when we're talking about aura, there are very specific things that you want to be confident in. And these are vectors of empowerment, which I'm going to get to in a second. But people have confidence in all different parts of life. You might just not see it in where you want it. So let's say you want more confidence in speaking to people, but you have a whole bunch of confidence when you're playing video games and talking smack online to people. You have all the confidence in the world because you're certain you're good at that game, or you're certain you can beat them. So you have a lot of confidence and you have no problem talking there. So you already have an energy of confidence. You just don't have it in the vector that you would like it in terms of aura and influencing people out there in the world in general. So the key then, if you want to develop aura and magnetism, is to become empowered and certain in very particular areas of life. And this brings me to the second step. The first step is understanding what confidence actually is. Certainty. So you did step 1. You know it. Step 2 is empowering yourself. You need to develop certainty and confidence in 7 areas of life. Your life is like an open world role-playing game. You get to pick who you want to be. And there are 7 areas in that game that you can level up in. And you see, when you level up more and more and more and more in these stats, in these 7 vectors, you develop way more aura because you're empowered. Now, when we're referring to things that are empowering, you'll often see people use the word strong or weak to refer to them. So what does strong mean? Strong means able to withstand great force or pressure. Weak means unable to withstand force or pressure and likely to break. So if somebody has a strong mind, their mind can withstand great force and pressure. When things get hard, they don't falter and they don't break. They can get through it and return to baseline. If somebody has a weak mind, we would say that they can't handle pressure and they break under pressure. Quote unquote, weak-minded. So let's talk about these empowerments, because this is really how you're going to build your aura. It's a giant part of it, and this is the meat of the video, so pay attention. Pause, that sounded a little weird, but Pay attention, okay? Firstly, you have empowerment in the mind. This is your first vector of empowerment. And like I said, being strong in mind is being able to handle pressure, stress, problems mentally. If you can do this, you will already have increased your aura. Because there's plenty of people out there in the world that don't have any mental resilience, that aren't able to push through when things get hard. And it's not about just pushing through when things get hard. It's about how you respond to when things get difficult. You'll notice someone who has aura, they tend to be unfazed. They tend to be cool. And people go, all this crazy shit is happening. Why are they so calm? So when I was in university, people used to panic about tests. Super panic. Oh my gosh, my mark is totally reliant on this test. If I fail this, it's all over. All my money is done. I'm going to have to retake the class and all this stress and anxiety. I'm sure, you've gone to school or you've gone to university or whatever. Sure, you may have felt that too. I used to think there was something wrong with me because I didn't necessarily feel that anxiety around tests. I was like, I'm not going to die. Like, if I fail the test, I'm still going to be alive and I'm still going to be okay. And I'm still probably going to eat food tomorrow. And my trajectory to get to where I want to go in life might just be a little longer. That's it. But that was because by that point in my life, I had already built a lot of mental resilience because I had been through hard things. My upbringing wasn't easy. I've talked about this on my channel at length in my story. But I didn't go through easy stuff. By the time I was in university, I'd almost died twice. My parents had financial troubles. I went through a lot of things. I dealt with a lot of rejection. I had sales jobs and I was in the music industry, constantly being told no. And you develop mental resilience. So there at university, people were like, why the hell is Seth so calm? I wish I could be that calm in this situation. And that creates aura. Mental empowerment. The second vector of empowerment is your physical empowerment. Empowerment in the body. Once again, strong body or weak body. Now, we're humans. We're animals. We judge things and are attracted or detracted from things based upon what we see and what we can perceive with our five senses. So if you are more fit, you are going to be more magnetic. And that's not just only because you're going to be more attractive, but there's things that fitness does to your nervous system and the actual electricity through your body. And magnetism has to do with electricity. So fitness has more beneficial effects on your magnetism and your aura than just looking better. Okay? Now, you're physically fit, you're going to be more attractive, people are going to be more magnetized to you, but it also displays something of your character. People can already make assumptions about who you are based upon your fitness and how you look. That's just what they can see. But what do they hear when you speak? Is your voice empowered? Do you have certainty in your speech? Do you smell good? That's another one of our five senses, right? When someone shakes your hand, what does your hand feel like? Taste, that's a different thing. That's not for this conversation. But you got to be empowered in the body. And that is incredibly magnetic, incredibly magnetic. You're going to have a lot. There's no mistake as to why so many people online who have influence are fit. Because it's one of the easiest vectors of empowerment to detect. People might be able to lie about their relationships. They might be able to lie about money. They might be able to lie about all sorts of stuff, but they can't lie about the way they look. It's not entirely true. I mean, we got filters and whatnot, but you get the point. Third vector of empowerment is your relationships. I'm not just talking romantic relationships. I'm talking your relationships in life in general. If you know you can count on people when something crazy happens, you're going to be more certain and confident that you can handle difficult situations or you can handle problematic things. Also, if you have a strong romantic relationship, it's going to empower you because your spouse is going to have the biggest mental effect on you. If you have a problematic spouse that is constantly chipping away at who you are and destroying you instead of empowering you, your magnetism, your aura is going to be depleted. I know people who have, let's say, significant amounts of money and wealth, but their romantic relationship is terrible. And they walk through the world with that. And it takes away some of their vigor and life force. They might be very confident and very certain in business, but when they go home, the things that they're dealing with there are reflected into their aura, and people can sense it. You'll notice when you have an empowered relationship, so much more of your life gets better. You end up making more money and you get more fit and you get better looking. There's no coincidence when they talk about that glow up that women have when they get with the right guy and they just start looking better and whatnot. It's a real thing. That's aura. Her aura's changed due to the relationship she's in. Not only due to that, but as part of it. And your network is a level of empowerment as well. If your network is solid and you got good other empowered people in it, you're going to feel leveled up. You're going to feel very capable. You're going to feel like you're part of something special. Other people can sense that. Fourth vector of empowerment, there's 7 of them, so we're over halfway now. Fourth vector of empowerment is your income. This is your ability to generate money. Oftentimes, it's going to come from business or your career, but I teach business, so I encourage people to get into business because business has the ability to quantum jump your income. You can come up with offers, you can put things into the world, and since you are developing aura and magnetism, people are being drawn to you, and when they realize you can help them, you put out something, an offer that they can buy, and you can quantum jump your income. I think my biggest week for making money online so far, I think was around $70,000 in 1 week. That's a quantum jump. I've gone from being very broke to having big quantum jumps in income because of business. But income is a level of empowerment. If you have money and you know money's coming in, you start to develop a level of freedom and a level of escaping survival mode. When you're no longer in survival mode and swept up with bills and what's going to happen in life, and if you're going to survive, you're going to walk, once again, with a level of certainty. You'll also be able to say no to things, which is incredibly magnetic. You will be able to say no to the things you don't want, and you'll be able to say yes to the things you do want. But you need money to do that. Fifth vector is wealth. Are you empowered in wealth? Wealth is different than income. Income you need to work for. You need to do something to get the money. Run a business, have a job, build up your career, do a service for someone. You need to do some work. Wealth is your ability to generate money without working. This is where you get real financial independence. If your investments and assets and these things are generating income that pays for your life and pays all your bills and covers your ideal lifestyle, You're financially independent. Now you're literally a free person. You can do whatever the hell you want besides the legal shit that puts you in jail. You know what I'm saying? So, so when you're financially independent, how magnetic do you think you're going to be? How do you think you're going to walk through the world? You're going to walk with such a level of certainty that so many people never experience. But to develop that financial independence, you're going to need that income. You're going to need that business that's doing well so you can reinvest profits into things that make money instead of just splurging it all on lifestyle. Because there's tons of people with income, but no wealth. I was one of these people. So I managed to generate significant amounts of income online. I changed my life in 2021 to 2023. I jumped from being incredibly broke to a top 1% earner in my country. And I had income coming in, but I was spending it. You know what I mean? My brother is an accountant. He had less cash flow than me, but technically he had more financial independence at the time because he had more money making money than I did. Which means at some point, he could not work for a period of time and he'd still have some money. Me, if I stopped working, even though I had savings, if I had stopped working, then the lifestyle starts to shut down. So there's a difference. There's some people that got a lot of income. They got a lot of money coming in, but they're not wealthy. Wealth is a different level of empowerment. We're almost there. The sixth vector is influence. This is very important. What is influence? Influence is when you say something, people do it. But why would people do what you say? When you say something, people would do it because they think they're going to get a preferable outcome. They think something good is going to happen. And especially if you said things and they've done what you said and something good has happened, you're going to have even more influence. And if you do that again, you say something and something good happens when they do it, and then they get a good result, boom, more influence. So if I tell you to eat at a calorie surplus and lift heavier weights, and over time, you're going to put on muscle and you're going to get bigger, and that actually happens, I'm going to have more influence in your life. If I tell you that you become more mentally resilient and mentally strong, and if you, for instance, take on a boxing fight, for instance, like I did, and you go through that process, which is incredibly difficult and requires a lot of mental fortitude, and you pass through that, you're going to feel more mentally strong. And then I'm going to have more influence because what I said worked. Now, what about people who are just listening to you for the first time and haven't done anything yet? Why would they listen to what you say? Because you have empowerment in other vectors and certainty in other vectors. I'm very, for instance, confident and certain in my ability to speak and my ability to get things across with my words and my ability to get my ideas into other people's heads and then have them take an action and get something good from that. Now, how did I develop that skill, that level of certainty? I have been using words to influence people since I was 15. I was in the music industry as an artist, and I wrote songs for other people, and I recorded them and I performed those songs to people and audiences on stages to a point where they felt so good about it and so influenced that I was able to sell my mixtapes at those shows. I used to sell my mixtape. I had influenced enough through my words and through my actions at those shows that people were willing to pay me. Because they experienced something I did, got a good result, they had a good time at the show. So if I said, if you buy this, you're going to enjoy it too, they were influenced to purchase it. That all came from my ability to say words. So I have confidence in my ability to speak. Since I have a level of empowerment and certainty in my ability to speak, when I tell somebody else, hey, I can teach you how to talk like this too, they're likely to believe me because I'm demonstrating it and I'm empowered in it. And there are other vectors of my life that are empowered mentally, physically, income, wealth, relationship, that they'll say, well, this is a person who has some things together. Maybe I'll listen to them. Influence is incredibly important, especially now on the internet world. Brands with billions of dollars pay people that have influence because people with influence can move a product and can earn money. If Nike was just Nike with no people involved, they wouldn't make any money. Nike needs to affiliate themselves with athletes and people with a life force and empowerment to sell their product. Why do you think AG1 goes over to Joe Rogan and says, hey, can you promote this and we'll give you how much millions of dollars to promote it? Because he has empowerment, especially in influence. It's worth a lot of money. Finally, the final empowerment is spiritual empowerment. What's spiritual empowerment? Spiritual empowerment is living within your values, which I'm going to get to. And spiritual empowerment is your ability to enforce your will upon reality, which means when you want something to happen, it happens. And the speed at which that happens is your empowerment within spirituality. So there are people out there that you think aren't spiritual people when they're actually highly spiritual people. All the people out there wearing robes and saying kumbaya and talking about all their chakras and all of this. Yes, there's validity to that. That's spiritual practice. But it's not spiritual empowerment. People who are spiritually empowered can change their reality. Not only their reality, the realities of other people. So if Jeff Bezos decides tomorrow Amazon's gone and we're shutting down Amazon, how much is that going to ripple through the world? You may have used Amazon today. That would be gone. You could never do that again. He would change reality for millions of people. That is spiritual power. The ability to change reality. It also has to do with living in your values. Because then you're authentic. And your authentic being is your spiritual being, your purpose-driven self. If you don't know your values, it's very important. You can get my Value Finder tool. Link is in the description below. You go through that, take your time with it. I suggest you do it on a computer, and it will show you what your top 3 values are. And from those values, you live them out every day, and they will empower your life because that's what you actually want to do with your life. People who have aura and magnetism are unapologetic about what they want to do with their life. And we admire these people because so many people in the world don't get to be unapologetic about who they are. They don't get to actually live out what they care about. They don't get to actually be who they are and say what they want to say and do what they want to do. So when we see other people do that, we go, wow, I wish I could do that. They really don't care about nothing. They just do what they want to do. Wow, I wish I could be like that. That's spiritual empowerment. So get the Value Finder tool. It's free. It'll help you out. So those are your 7 vectors of empowerment. The more empowered those are, your mind, your body, your relationships, your income, your wealth, your influence, and your spirit, the more aura you will have by default. Because you will have so much confidence and so much certainty and so much charisma. I wasn't going to talk about this. This wasn't one of the 4 points, but charisma. What is charisma? This is another amorphic thing. where it's a cacophony of other skills and traits. Charisma is really just warmness and competence, certainty, so confidence as well, but is mixed with warmness. And what is warmness? Warmness is likability. You'll notice that, for instance, the people who are the most confident tend to be the nicest, and the people who are the least confident tend to be the most wrathful and snaky and mean. Because confident people can be nice. They're not worried. They're certain in who they are and certain in what they're doing. And they don't have imposter syndrome about whatever it is they're confident in. So if there's some big, huge guy at the gym, the biggest guy at the gym is usually the nicest person. To be honest, he's usually the nicest guy. And people are really intimidated by that person because he seems to be the most empowered. And a lot of the times, if we're very disempowered, we'll be intimidated by people who are empowered because they're just so far polarized and seem so far disassociated from us that it actually makes us feel small and we want to curl up and we feel ashamed. When really, if we spoke to that person, they might tell you, I was in the same position as you. I just empowered myself. So charisma comes from being confident in something and having competence and warmth. Being likable. Be nice. You don't have to be nice all the time. When people challenge your values and you're empowered, you're going to put up barriers and boundaries to defend that and make sure people don't walk all over you. But for the most part, be nice, be helpful, be decent. Right? Now, finally, we spoke about confidence. We spoke about empowerment. We spoke about your values. Finally, people with aura tend to speak less. Now, I'm on YouTube and I make content and I teach, so I talk. But this is the most talking I do in my life. Most of my life, I'm quite quiet. I don't talk all that much. Why is that? Because mystery is magnetic. The person who speaks less, people wonder about that person. The person who speaks the most, their mystery fades away and everyone knows everything about them and they become less magnetic. They're like, I have discovered the puzzle. It's good to be open. It's good to be authentic. It's good to allow people to connect with your story and connect with you emotionally. But at the same time, if you lose all of your mystery, then you're going to lose some of your magnetism. This happens with couples all the time. Oh, the magic's gone. The spark is gone. They've just become way too used to each other and nothing is new. Nothing's mysterious. Nothing's novel. If people feel like they can continually figure out things about you, or there's more to you, or there's more to constantly learn, they're going to be hooked. But if you talk too much, you give it all away. And we live in a world, because of this influencer world and this internet world, we think that the people who speak the most have the most power. But it's not true. The person in a conversation who speaks less has the power. In fact, the person in the conversation who asks the questions has the most power because they're soliciting an answer out of you and they're learning more about you. And when they learn more about you, they can influence you, which is another vector of empowerment and aura. Why is it that when we talk about ourselves to other people, we like them? Oh, they're such a great listener. Oh, I really like talking to them. I know this, and it still works on me because it's a universal thing. I was at a networking event. A friend of mine, he throws these networking events 2 or 3 times a year. And there was this guy from New York I met at one of the first ones I went to. All he did was ask me questions. And I knew what he was doing. But I still think he's a great guy. And I like him. He's a likable person. Because all he did was ask me about me. Second time I saw him, he did the same thing. Seth, what's going on? What you been up to? How's life? Oh, I see you're doing your thing on YouTube. What's that been like? What's your mindset around that? And he's asking me all these questions. And I'm like, this guy's a great guy. But he's learning everything about me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing about him. But there's a level of magnetism to that. Because when I see that guy now, I'm going to be happy to see him. Not just because I want to talk about myself, and everybody likes to talk about themselves, because I've had positive associations with him. Because I've gotten to share who I am. So speak less, and people will be more drawn to you. And here's the thing. People think that if they speak less, that they're just going to create awkwardness. Sometimes, if you're awkward and you're uncertain of yourself, then you will create awkwardness. But there's a very strange thing that happens in the universe. The universe is always balanced. There's always a homeostatic vector to keep things balanced. What happens when you speak less is other people talk to balance out the universe, okay? Other people talk. Or they try to solicit you to talk. Because they're like, how come you're not talking? How come I don't know anything about you? And they try to get you to speak. Because the universe is trying to be in balance. If you watch interviews, great interviewers, they leave space for silence. They're not going to fill it. They're going to let the person they're interviewing, they're going to let the guest fill it. Someone like Stephen Bartlett on Dyer, the CEO, fantastic interviewer, very magnetic individual, because he'll ask a question. When your mother did that, how did it feel? And the guest will answer, and Stephen will still be quiet. And the guest will expand even more. And now we're getting even deeper into their story, and they get deeper into the story, and then they cry, and then it's a big catharsis and big emotional thing for the whole audience. And then the audience gets drawn even more because they connect emotionally, and the whole thing is magnetic. Bang. So, if you want to have a greater aura, you want to draw people to you, you want to earn more money in your business through your communication, through your magnetism, through your message, through your offer, through what you do, I'm running something called the Aura Academy. It's a cohort. I'm going to do it in January. If you're interested in developing these skills, these magnetism skills, these aura-related skills, these influence-related skills, so you can show up, speak authentically, speak like how I speak, barely any cuts in the video, and just being able to have a stream of conscious, create a video, provide value to people, draw people in that pay you, I'm going to teach you how to do that, plus more in that cohort. So link is in the description below for the wait list. If you're interested, join there. And I hope that helped you in developing your aura. Remember, confidence, which is certainty, empower yourself in the 7 vectors of empowerment, carry out your values every single day, be unapologetic about them, and speak less. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.